one more time. Just say it right.
Hello, hi, how are you? 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, Wednesday, Monday, 4, 17. Hello, my name is Jodat Voyboy Esfahani, and I'm the solo laner, mostly play mid, for Team Curse. Growing up, I was born in Berkeley, California. Go Bears. My parents were fled Iran during the Iranian Revolution. They moved to Italy and then they moved to America to basically try to start a new life. And my mom moved, well, they moved primarily to Berkeley because my mom got to UC Berkeley. And when they were there, they had me. I just came out, Stork dropped me off somewhere. They found me, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we weren't the most well off. Usually had a bit less than the other kids, my friends, neighborhood, but I had a nice childhood. Like, my parents were very loving, very supportive. They always like encouraged me to do my best in really whatever I wanted to do, be it playing soccer, be it playing basketball, be it my schoolwork. Like, that stuff, school is definitely something that they were a big proponent of. In Iran, like, one of the most important things that every like parent and child is taught is that you have to do well in school. Education is like the most important thing. It's like basically the gateway to having a better life, and that's also what I believe. And they basically ingrained that philosophy into me. So I would always like study really hard. Even when I was like in elementary school, I was always trying to learn like the stuff that people are doing like grades above. And yeah.
Do you ever go back to Iran?
Yes, I've been back a few times. Nowadays, it's a bit harder, not to mention the fact that I'm really busy, but when I was a child, I would go back every few years to see my family, just see like the differences in cultures, and it was pretty interesting. I got really good at Farsi. I'm a fluent Farsi speaker. I can't read, unfortunately. I've always wished that I learned, but never really put the time into it. But I can speak, hold conversation, do all that stuff, and yeah, Iran is a nice country. Like, my family lives there. Sometimes I wish I'd go back just to visit them, but right now it's not really the best time. There's a lot of like political conflicts and stuff that make it a bit difficult. In high school, I was always like aiming to be a top student. I got pretty much perfect grades. I would always like go above and beyond. Got like really good SAT score, 2300. I was applying to like top colleges, and to be honest, I never really imagined that I was gonna. It didn't really cross my mind until a few months prior that I would potentially like not be going to college to continue to play League of Legends. Cause yeah, like I said, when I was a child and basically for my whole childhood, I had the philosophy that education is the most important thing. Like, I have to do well in school, get into a good college, and then I can just go on and do something really cool with my life. And I don't think that's untrue. It's just that was pretty much what I thought was the only possibility. And when I was applying to schools, I got into quite a few really good ones. Cal, UCLA, Northwestern, and I was waitlisted at Harvard, ended up not getting in there, but it was really a tough choice for me to put off school to continue playing League. In the end, there was just so much support from like my fans and my like friends, and like even my family eventually, they came around to it and they ended up supporting me as well, because in my mind, like at the time when I was deciding between putting off school and playing League versus just going straight into college, I just thought like this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, there's so many people trying to get to the spot that I've been able to get to just by playing a game that I love. So if I don't pursue this and take it as far as I can take it and see what happens, then I'll probably regret it for the rest of my life. And I think university will be there when I'm done playing League. I think I can always go back, assuming that is what I deem as the most valuable opportunity available to me at the time. So I think that I made the right choice, and I'm not done. Like, I'm hungry. I'm just looking to continue my career and see as far as I can take it.
So you said like you wanted to pursue this career as far as you can go. Would that mean like would you eventually be a like coach, caster, analyst, shotcaster?
There's really taking my League of Legends career as far as I can go in my mind is continuing on the path that I've already set. While I think coaching and analysis and shoutcasting are all really like valuable roles and professions that we need in the league scene, and I do think I could do a pretty decent job of them. There's really two things that I'm the most passionate about when it comes to playing League. One is competing, playing at the highest level, competing with my teammates and against the top teams in the world. I was once there. I want to get back to it. It's probably the greatest feeling ever to just go into a major tournament, come out strong, like win for yourself, win for your teammates, win for your fans. Like, there's nothing better. And then, yeah, I just want to get back to that point. So I probably will continue doing that until it just doesn't seem feasibly possible. And for the near future, next few months, next year, I think it's definitely still on the horizon. Still think it's very achievable. And then the second thing that I love about playing League is just streaming for my fans. I have always been in the philosophy that when I stream, I shouldn't just be like playing the game. I should be like trying to optimize the time that I'm using to like help as many people as possible. So when I stream, I'm not just like solo queuing, trying to solo queue or play with my fans or whatever and commentate and give my thought process, like analyze what's happening, analyze the game, analyze what people are asking me about. And I think that it's a really valuable thing that I provide, I mean, personally speaking, because the amount of messages and like support that I get because of what I've been doing for like the past year plus in terms of streaming is what really motivates me to keep doing it. Like sometimes I'll have a bad day, won't really be feeling that good, like scrims didn't go so well, but then I'll just stream. I won't let myself change. Like I'll just do the thing that I know people want to see, and if I make someone else's day better by just helping them learn a Kali or Katarina or something like that, and they can send that positivity right back to me, and it just makes me feel better. So if I felt like continuing my like competitive career was no longer feasible, then I'd probably look into streaming more full time, and even maybe like going back to school and then seeing if I could manage streaming from there as well. That's all definitely like possibilities, but for the moment I'm just like still hungry to win. I want to compete and I want to do my best, so that's where my goals are set. When I started playing League of Legends, I honestly had no idea what it was. I had heard of Dota, like some of my online friends had played it and stuff like that, but I never really like bothered to delve into the MOBA style genre of games. I actually ended up downloading it just because I was looking for a new game to play, and it was free. It seemed decently popular, but this was a long time ago, so there wasn't that many players. I just had heard like good things about it, and so I downloaded League of Legends. Got into my first match. There was 10 free heroes to play. I had no idea what they did. I just picked Morgana. I went into the game. I don't even think I was against real people. I'm pretty sure I was against bots, and I didn't even know that you were supposed to play against real people. So I just went into the game, and then I was like leveling up for W, and I was like killing the creeps really fast, faster than everyone else, and I was like, this champion is so OP. Like, I'm just winning the game. And then after I like started playing more, I realized, okay, so I'm supposed to be playing against other people. I mean, conceptually, I realized like it was a team versus team game, but like my first match ever, I had no idea what I was doing, to be honest. And then yeah, I just kept playing the game. I eventually started leveling up. I got better. I guess mechanically I was just pretty like, I guess I was able to grasp it from the start, and I just kept improving from there. My first champion that I really loved was Ezreal. I started playing the game after a lot of like the current pros. Not too much later, but I wasn't like beta. I was like season 1. That's where I started out. I think the last champion that had come out was like Mordekaiser or something. And then, yeah, so I found Ezreal. I was really in love with the champion design. I loved the fact that it was like a high skill cap champion, lots of skill shots, a lot of room for outplay potential. And this was back when Ezreal was nerfed, so he wasn't viable. He like people used to play him AP. He had like the healing and all that. All of that was already taken away when I started playing him. And I played him AD. I would go like solo mid Ezreal. I would just like try to win my lane really hard, get buffs, and like run around the map and roam and make plays. And I think that was where I began to develop like a knack for the game and just I think develop my aggressive nature that I'm so commonly like quoted as having. Yeah, Ezreal was just like the perfect champion for me. I still play him from time to time in mid lane. I think he's really viable, still really strong. And yeah, I honestly don't know if I would have played the game as much as I did and became as good as I think I did if I hadn't found Ezreal, because I ended up playing like probably at least 1,000 games of Ezreal in that period of time. I would play other stuff. I would play like Corki, Casting, Gragas, all those like other champions that I was pretty known for in Season 1. But yeah, I just wanted to become like an Ezreal mastermind. And I guess I did it at some point. There was like one innovation that I made. I rushed Wriggle's Lantern Ezreal, and this was back when Wriggles was like really pretty stupid. You could like lifesteal off the Q proc and your autos and stuff like that, and once you got your Wriggles, you were like impossible to push out a lane, and then you could also like solo dragon and solo buffs really easily, and that was just something that I started doing, and then everyone started doing it, and then Wriggles got nerfed, and then I didn't have that anymore, but I still played him. Yeah, I mean, I think Ezreal's probably my favorite champion ever. I have a lot of like other ones that I love a lot. I have a lot of champions that I love, obviously. Akali, Lee Sin, Katarina, just like high mobility assassins, Kha'Zix, that I play quite often now, but Ezreal is just, yeah, he's my go-to. Back when I started playing, there wasn't really a professional scene. When I was like high elo and playing against like the top tier players at the time, there was kind of like teams who were playing in like small tournaments online, but while there was kind of like a culture, there wasn't really like a scene. Like there weren't LAN tournaments people were going to constantly. Like teams weren't getting salary. There wasn't much structure. It was just like 5 group of friends that found each other playing at like the highest level, for example CLG, and then just kind of stuck together. And when I started playing like professional, I guess my debut was for the Winter Newegg WAN Fest event in, I believe, 2011. This was winter, so a while ago. I was just friends with Sam the Ham. He was making a team with like Skara and Rambo and Narret and all these other guys. And then he just invited me to play on the team because we had played together and he thought I was pretty good. And I just joined the team from there. We started competing. I was playing pretty much every week in our matches, and we just ended up doing like way better than we expected. And by the end of the tournament, I think we ended up with 3rd place, but we did take a game off of CLG, who were considered like the best team in the world at the time. So that was pretty encouraging, and I got to lane against Big Fat LP, and I think I outlaned him in one of the games. So I was just like, damn, maybe like this could be something, but not like, I didn't think of it in terms of like a career or like anything really. I just thought, oh, like maybe I can be like one of the best players at this game and keep competing and stuff like that. We ended up winning like, I think it was hard drives that were worth like $100 each, but it was really cool at the time because up until that point, all the video games and stuff that I played, I didn't ever really get anything to show for it. So that was like kind of the first materialization of like a reward from playing a video game, which was pretty cool. I didn't think too much of it at the time, but in retrospect, it was like the first step where I was like, all right, well, this could possibly turn into something. And yeah, I had no idea what it would become. I was having a pretty tough time deciding between the schools. What I originally wanted to do was take a gap year. So I take 1 year off to play League, and then I go back immediately. And so I chose to do this at Northwestern. But what happened was my League career took off, the scene was exploding, and a year just would not have cut it at the time, so had to put it off further. And I think, yeah, I probably would have gone to Northwestern.
Was there any like singular event or reason that solidified your decision into choosing that career path rather than going to like a really nice school?
I think that the biggest event for me personally was around the time of I Am Hanover. It was where we went as Dignitas and we took second place at the World Championships, and I played pretty well in my opinion. Could have played better. We did not manage to beat M5 in the finals, but I got the MVP award for that tournament, and staying on the stage, like, it was so packed. It was just like a whole auditorium full, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and they were just all cheering, clapping. It was like the most, I guess, powerful moment that I've experienced. So that was like the point when I was on stage. I was like, I can't drop this. Like, I have to see where it's gonna take me, and I just stuck to it after that. So yeah, I think it was definitely I Am Hanover.
What was it like to play with Dominic back then? And do you think your relationship with him back then has any effect on it now?
I think so. Back then, Dominic came into our team kind of unproven. We knew he was pretty good. We had heard good things, but we never really played with him that much. And then yeah, he just came onto our team. We started playing really well together. We would we basically just became a top, like one of the consistently top teams. After that point, like when Jat was on the team, we were doing well, but we managed to choke at tournaments. Like for example, I Am New York, it didn't go so well even though we had like so much hype going for us. And then yeah, when Dom came on the team, first LAN, we didn't have much practice. I Am Kiev, we basically like didn't do as well as we could have wanted. Obviously, we came pretty close to beating M5, and then we got third place overall, which wasn't like satisfying, but it was decent. And then next event we went to I Am Hanover, and we just took like the scene by storm. People thought that we were good, but I don't think anyone expected us to be able to come out and like blow everyone away like that. And if we had won the finals there, that would have been like a pretty huge moment. In retrospect, it probably wouldn't have affected too much, but at the time it felt like it was like the most important like match ever. And yeah, I mean, playing with Dom was really good. I honestly thought that we had the best synergy out of any other player that I've played with. And now that we're playing together on Curse again, it feels really solid. I think we're getting back to that point.
I heard there was like a trade going on, or
Mhm.
can you tell me about that?
So yeah, when I was on Dignitas, I was basically approached by Curse and CLG to get picked up as their top laner because they thought that it would be a good idea. And I basically, at first, I was just listening, I was just talking to them, and then by the time that I made my decision, I was like caught shot, and the team managed to convince me that it would have been the best decision for me to make. And so I ended up leaving Dignitas, joining CLG, and playing for them for a good run of time. I went to Korea with them, went to Worlds with them. We placed not as well as we would have liked. We got knocked out of group stage. We only won one game. And I definitely thought that we were a much better team than how we performed at Worlds. Like, practicing for it, going into it, we were pretty confident in our ability. And then, I mean, that never means anything unless you actually show up and get the results. So that was kind of disappointing. I guess people on the team ended up, I don't think they blame me, because in retrospect, people said that it wasn't a good decision to kick me, at least from people that I've talked to, but I ended up getting removed from CLG, so I was teamless for a little bit there, and then just approached by Liquid to join Curse, so I ended up going to Curse, and the rest was kind of history. The synergy on CLG was good between certain team members, but it wasn't really like a cohesive synergy. I think that it was just hard for everyone to get on the same page. Like, people had different philosophies, people had different mentalities of like not only how to approach the game, but how to approach dealing with each other. Some people were very logic based, some people would speak more to emotion, and when those two like types of thought like would clash, the arguments and like the debates over like gameplay and stuff would end up not being so productive. So I think that there was like just some outside of game factors that made it hard to improve really consistently as a team. And yeah, I mean, I think the individual skill was there. It's just we could not find like a way to mesh as a cohesive unit, which was kind of a shame.
What was Korea like?
Korea was pretty amazing. Probably the coolest place that I've ever visited. The esports scene is so cool. Like everyone watches League, everyone knows about like the players, and I would go out on the street and I would be recognized way more than I am around here. So yeah, it was a pretty humbling experience. There's LAN cafes literally every street. There's like 10 on like one street, like every like 4 blocks. It's just ridiculous. People play video games like so much, and there's a lot of respect for like the esports figures and like the scene and stuff like that. And yeah, it was really cool. Food was amazing. I would definitely like to go back if given an opportunity sometime. But yeah.
Do you think that NA will ever be like a Korea like esports scene? Do you think they're decades ahead or?
I mean, they are kind of decades ahead. Like the esports scene in Korea started with StarCraft Brood War, and that's been going on for God knows how long. And the infrastructure for like the teams and the league and all that had already been established prior to the League of Legends scene exploding. So for NA to come in, obviously they have the resources, they have money, they can get the sponsors and stuff like that. It's just people have to make the investments and start creating the infrastructure to sort of mirror that of the Korean top teams and stuff like that. All the Korean teams have gaming houses, they all have coaches, they all have teams of analysts. Things like that are already in place so that when the League of Legends teams came in and started becoming big and people realized, oh, we should be diversifying our resources and helping foster league teams, that was just a really easy transition. Whereas in NA, it's usually like, all right, like these are 5 good solo queue players, like let's start playing together. Let's go for like the qualification for LCS. It's just like a much different perspective when you compare like the up and coming teams in Korea to like the people who are trying to make it in NA. But yeah, I do think that eventually NA can reach that point. I definitely think that the infrastructure in Korea just gives them an innate advantage, at least in starting out, and then based on that advantage, they just have more opportunities for like top tier teams and players to develop. But I don't think that it's something that is like so hard to overcome. Like I don't think that an NA team can't win Worlds in the next year or 2 years because this infrastructure hasn't already been developed. I just think that it would definitely help go a long way if people start to make the right investments and get that started off.
When you were benched, like I know you were regarded as one of the best like new up and coming top laners, and you were benched after CLG. How did that feel?
Yeah, so when I was benched from CLG, it was definitely a shock to me because obviously I don't think any of us played that well at Worlds, but I don't think that my performance was to blame. And I thought that I was definitely doing well on the team, at least in our play. And yeah, it was just kind of a shock to me. Like I remember being called up to the room where like Kelby and Hotshot and Chaucer and Dulles were all just waiting there, and they're just like, we decided to move on without you, and we're bringing in Loco Doco. He's flying in tonight. If you have any questions about this, we can take him, but the decision is made. And I was just like, damn, like what just happened? Like I did not really see that coming. And yeah, they were like, I think Chaucer said in retrospect there was like some nervous laughter going on because people just didn't know how to like what to say or how to react. But yeah, it was definitely like a pretty shocking experience for me. But I talked to them, I tried to reason it out, I tried to figure out like what the motivation was and why it was happening, and in the end I was like, okay, well, it's done, I'll just move on, try to figure out what I want to do. And at the time I was upset, kind of angry, but I tried to hold it in. I came to terms with it over like the next 2 days, 3 days. I just like calmed down. I was like, all right, it's over. Like, what do I need to do now? I just started talking to other teams, people. I got a lot of offers at that time, and the best one that I got, and the one that I thought probably had the most potential for us to become a top team, was definitely Curse. Liquid came to me, said what he wanted, and he definitely thought that I was capable of like taking their team to the next level. So that's what I did. Ended up signing with Curse, and I moved in pretty shortly after that, just to start and look for a new beginning.
But what made you want to stick it through with League at this point? I mean, it was a really dark point. You know, can you talk to me about what made you say, like, I don't care if I got benched. I'm going to find another team. I'm going to keep going. Yeah,
so at that time, I thought that I was the best top laner in North America. And I talked to CLG, like, while they were benching me, I was like, don't you guys think I'm, like, the best top laner in North America? Like, is there a better alternative available? Hotshot had not played top lane for a good while, and they said, no, like, we think you're way better than, like, everyone that we're going to be playing against in LCS. Like, you're better than Wicked. Like, we know that, but it doesn't matter. We want to play with Hotshot. We want to have a new change, and they thought that that was the best decision that they could have made. So I knew it, and they had reinforced that into me. Obviously, they didn't think I was perfect, but they thought I was still really good, and I knew I was really good, so I did not want to give up. Like, I thought that it was pretty ridiculous that I just wasn't, like, that they viewed me as still the best, but they didn't want to play with me, which is understandable. Like, everyone can have their reasons, but it just made me think, okay, well, I'll just find a new team and try to figure out how to make it happen from there. So yeah, that was not a point where I was considering quitting. If I was ever going to consider quitting, it would be if I just felt like my skills were not on par, and I do not think that that's happened I haven't reached that point as of yet, and I don't expect it to happen anytime soon. When I was going to join Curse, I thought that they were just like party animals. That's what I was led to believe from like the videos and like the streams and stuff like that. So when I was first talking to Liquid about it, I was a little bit worried, but he like reassured me that their number one goal was to win, and that was like what, like, up until that point, he said that they may have had like a little bit different priorities, but I think going forward, the number one goal is just to win and be the best team that we could be. So that kind of helped settle my, I guess it wasn't really fears, it was just like I had a conception that that's what was happening. And then yeah, I showed up at the Curse house. Everyone came back from when, I think it was a Chinese tournament, I don't remember exactly the name, and I just started playing with them. We just immediately started like hitting it off and doing really well. I just like, I felt like I had independence. I had a new outlet to shine. People trusted me. They were just like, I mean, we don't really know exactly what you do. Just do what everything is best, and hopefully it'll work out. And that's what I did when I joined this team. I just found my new place. I didn't find my new place again. I just kind of got to play what I was comfortable with, and I knew I could carry on. And it ended up working really well. We practiced really hard. We won like a string of TSM online tournaments in a row, which were the only really form of competition available at the time. And then we went into our LCS qualifiers. We kind of blew everyone away. We started off LCS strong, and we were top team in NA for a very consistent period of time. So unfortunately, it didn't last forever, but you're always going to have your highs and your lows.
We're top dog for season 3, and then you guys kind of dropped pretty drastically. Can you give me your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so there was a period of time where we started off the LCS, we were like 8-0. It looked like we were going to be undefeated for the whole season. And then we lost our first game. I don't remember to which team, but we never really found our footing. We were still a top team. Like, I think we finished the first split, maybe second in our record. I think TSN ended up getting first. And yeah, we were not playing at the same level that we had been playing for the months prior, and for like the first split, I would say, or for the first half of the first split in LCS. I don't really know what happened. I mean, obviously champion nerfs and like the meta shift and stuff like that affected our team a little bit more than I would say other teams, but I think we kind of just started to like lose faith in each other. We didn't really have that trust that I thought was like so powerful in the first like few months that we were together. And yeah, by the end of the first split, we had swapped out elements, we brought in Rux, went into playoffs. We all didn't perform as well as we would have liked, and yeah, we ended up finishing I think 4th in the whole season, which going from like 1st to 4th, like a commanding 1st at that, was pretty annoying because it just felt like we had just underperformed severely for a good period of time, and we could never really find our footing again. But we tried to come back from it. First split was not a deciding factor for Worlds. Second split was where all the money was going to be for if you could make it to Worlds, you could keep your LCS spot, and you could just perform on the World stage. So that was what our sights were set on, but ended up not working out. So
what went through your head when you guys were relegated?
So I made a really long, like, I guess blog post about this the night after our relegation. I couldn't sleep. I just had all these emotions and feelings just wrapped up inside my head, and I just wanted to let them out. So I wrote that blog post. Basically, what it said, it was for my fans exclusively. Like, I just wrote it for my fans. People wondering what happened. Like, I just had to get it off my chest. And going into relegation, that split, it was a weird split. We picked up Edward. He was obviously a top-tier support from Europe. He came in. We started playing together. It was hard to build synergy at first, but eventually him and Cop started to play better. They started to like each other more. And by the second half of the second split, it felt like we were actually getting somewhere as a team. The last week, super week, going into playoffs, we ended up going 4-1. That was pretty surprising because we weren't exactly playing our best at all that whole split, but we made it a strong showing. We managed to make it into the playoffs with our record in Super Week, and then we practiced for I think 2 weeks going into playoffs. Those 2 weeks were probably the most like stressful and like disappointing 2 weeks of my League of Legends career. We honestly just could not find out a strategy that worked for us. Everything that we tried, it would just like fail. I don't know. We were just mechanically misplaying. I'm not gonna call anyone out, but it was just a rough period of time for our team, and it was unfortunate because this was the moment of time where we were supposed to be at our best. Like, we're going to playoffs. We are gonna compete for Worlds. We have to not get relegated. Like, we have to keep our spot. All these things is just the most pressure that we were gonna face, and it was at the worst time possible for us to find ourselves in this like rut, I guess I would say. Not to say we were playing perfectly, like the latter half of the split anyway, but it was definitely like way worse than usual. And the night before we were gonna fly out to playoffs, had another disappointing day of scrims. There wasn't really much solace. Like, I was just in the mindset of, I was not in a healthy mindset for like a team setting. I was just like, I just have to like pick a champion that I know I can carry with and just try to go off. And that was like my mindset. And it was a bad mindset, but I think that it was really hard to like stay positive without having something like that. And we went to playoffs. We had a great first game versus Dignitas. I played Cassidy. The next 2 games, second game we lost pretty badly, and then the third one, I thought that we had pretty much guaranteed win. There was some miscommunication on a call late game, and we ended up throwing it. And after that match, to be honest, like, we were just also down. It almost felt like we knew we were going to lose to CLG the day after, because like we were all just disappointed. Like, we kind of, I guess, saw it coming, and the fact that we weren't able to like pull out the win was just kind of heartbreaking. And so, yeah, we didn't talk that much about like our strategy versus CLG. We were just all kind of down. We tried to stay positive as best as we could, but it was definitely tough. And then, yeah, going to our CLG match, it was just like, let's just play like whatever we think will be best. So like, yeah, I mean, we were just not in a mindset as a team to win at that point. They ended up beating us pretty badly, and we just ended up last place of playoffs. The dream for Worlds was long over, and we found ourselves in relegation, which was really tough for me to deal with because I was looking forward to getting a break and just relaxing after the season, and just, yeah, it was tough. It was a tough period of time. Basically, after relegation, Liquid came to me and he was like, all right, I need your help. Like, I want to make changes to the team. And he basically just like asked for my advice and input. And I tried to help him as much as I thought I could. I was actually considering also leaving the team. I was getting offers here and there, and there's just a lot on my mind. Like, I didn't know really what to do, but I ended up like sticking with it. I told Liquid like, I'm gonna stay. Like, I have loyalty, and I want to see what we can do. So at that point, I really wanted to play with Dom, and I knew that there's a good chance of that happening. So we started playing together. Liquid was doing like interviews and all that stuff, trying to find out if there was any like undiscovered talent for I guess the other like basically every role. He interviewed people from like Europe and Korea and like NA, like top challenger players, like top Diamond 1 people. I think he put a really like vast amount of time into trying to find people. In the end, he ended up making like a test roster with me, Pobelter, Aframu, Dom, and Zekant, and it was like horribly handled. Like, it was just released on the website. Like, the team didn't even realize it was like a final roster, and then yeah, it just created like this whole storm, and it was basically just like, yeah, Liquid made a mistake, and it was not perceived well by the community, and then we ended up changing again to play with Cop and Quas. Quas was definitely a top prospect at the time. I think that they were talking to Quas for a while, and personally, my philosophy on teammates is I just want 5 hardworking, dedicated people who are mechanically good, can live together, can like play together, can just like bond and become like good friends both inside and outside of the game. And I think if you can achieve a team that has that, you can like easily surpass a team that's just like 5 like gods of the game or whatever that you want to call it. So yeah, that's my philosophy on teammates. Like, when I was on CLG, definitely did not have a team that meshed very well together. On the former Curse roster, there was a lot of conflict, there was a lot of egos clashing and stuff like that, and that definitely prevented and got in the way of us becoming really good as a team. But I think with the team that we have now, I think everyone's pretty level-headed, everyone's mellow, we all want to get better, we all want to improve, and we all want to just see where we can get to as a team. After we won at Relegation, yeah, we win as a team, we lose as a team, like that's what we do, and I definitely am really happy with how everything's working out right now.
Your playstyle would be better suited in mid lane due to like you playing assassins and super aggressive. What were your own thoughts when you moved to mid lane? Were you nervous, scared? Yeah,
so I had been playing mid lane for a while, even before I started playing like officially in like practices and stuff like that. Last split, when we had the old Curse roster, I still played like Zed, Kassadin, Ezreal mid in scrims and stuff like that, and it usually went pretty well. So I was already confident in my ability to carry from mid lane. At playoffs, the only game that we actually ended up winning was when I was playing mid. I played Kassadin, we like blew them away, and then we just didn't really manage to find our footing in the next 2 games. But yeah, I wasn't really nervous. I definitely felt that I had the ability to play mid at the highest level. Obviously, if I was going to become a full-time mid laner for the most part, then it was going to take a lot of devotion, a lot of dedication, a lot of time, because switching roles is, I don't think it's the hardest thing in the world, but it definitely takes a lot of time. Like, it's a big investment. There are a lot of nuances and just different things that you have to learn and just embrace when you play a different role. And while I think that there's a lot of champions that I could move over from when I play top lane to mid lane, which definitely helped make the transition smoother, there's still like a lot to learn. But I do think that my progression as a mid laner is definitely going up to my own expectations, and I'm really harsh on myself, so I'm pretty confident in my ability as a mid laner right now. I think for the next season, I'm going to be one of the top mid laners in North America, and I just believe it. So if I believe it and I think I can do it and I play my best, then I know it can happen.
What were some of the things that kind of surprised you about mid lane? Like any particular challenges?
There weren't really any particular challenges about playing mid lane that I didn't expect. Like even though I was a top player, I love analyzing the game. I love like thinking about different roles. Like I've always played every single role in solo queue and stuff like that. So that just helps me have a good game understanding. Like I can look at bot lane matchups and realize like who's gonna win and who's gonna lose and who has the advantage, stuff like that. I think that's an important skill that I think every pro player should definitely have, and I think most people do. But yeah, I pretty much had a good conceptualization of mid lane before I started playing it full time. I think that the most annoying thing that I've come to deal with is just like being spam ganked by like Vise or at least like with their ults on cooldown. It's pretty annoying. It definitely takes a bit of getting used to, but it's not impossible to prevent against. And yeah, I don't think there was any like huge surprises that I haven't been able to face.
So you guys are back in the LCS. How hard did you guys train against COG? And like, I know you guys have a certain regimen that you guys developed, like over when you were relegated. Kind of talk to me about that.
Yeah, so the 2 months leading into relegation for playing cognitive gaming was probably the hardest we've ever practiced in a long time. We were literally scrimming / having like analyst meetings and stuff like that for 10 to 12 hours a day, and then I would solo queue on top of that every night before I went to bed. So the practice schedule was pretty intense. We were basically practicing to keep our spot in the LCS and to have a shot at making big things happen this split. So there was a lot on the playing field, and yeah, I think it was definitely an exhausting experience, but I think it was worth it. The rapid pace of our development was definitely in thanks to like our intense practice schedule, and just the fact that everyone on the team was motivated to improve and get better. I think that yeah, it was pretty intense. Like I literally would get to stream for like a few hours a week because every other possible opportunity I was either like practicing, like getting food or solo queuing, and then just like going to sleep and getting ready to wake up early for the next day. So it was jam-packed. There wasn't much time for fooling around or doing other stuff, but in the end, we managed to qualify. We did what we set out to do, and we're not going to stop practicing. I think that for going forward, I think we're going to try to keep like an intense practice schedule, but I think that we're going to be making like, I guess, slight changes just to facilitate like people doing a little bit more with their free time, because before there was like pretty much no opportunities to do anything, and now that we're in the LCS, we still want to be the top team. We still want to practice really hard, but there's just like less. There's less. It's not like we're going for a do or die match. It's like we're gonna be playing a whole split. We have time to improve during that time. We want to take out as many teams as possible and lose as little games as possible, obviously, but it's not like this one match can decide everything, which is what relegation essentially is.
Okay, can you talk about game one, like when you guys were playing against COG? I know you guys kind of lost. Talk to me what happened there.
Yeah, so game one versus COG, we gave them Ziggs. We expect them to pick it. I had a pick that I was pretty comfortable with into it, but we never really did anything that game. We got an early kill on Leona up top because she like E'd into turret, but then we just ended up getting pushed in every lane. I didn't really find the impact that I would have liked to have, and we lost a team fight pretty severely at bot, and then we lost a dragon fight as well. So that first match was kind of brutal. I think we were all just kind of nervous. Like I said, there was so much riding on the match. We'd been prepping so hard for this. Like we'd done all the legwork. Like we just had to show up and play. And I think there was just everyone had jitters. Even like myself. Like I am usually someone that never gets nervous on LAN. I'm sometimes a little bit nervous going in, but when the game starts and we're in champion select and we're going like loading screen, like I'm just ready to play. And that match, I definitely felt that something was off. So I think that affected us a bit negatively. We ended up losing that game, but we just, after the match, we all just huddled up together. We're like, all right, like it's just one game. It's the best of 5. Like we can do this. Like we know what we have to do to win. Let's just execute on it. And I think everyone just kind of got remotivated. We all just kind of let the jitters loose, and we just played really well in the next 3 games for the most part. I've definitely been through some experiences playing League of Legends. I think I've qualified for the LCS 3 different times. First one when we placed third at last PAX to qualify for CLG. Then I got benched, and then I joined Curse, and we played through relegation. And actually, that was really relegation. It was more like qualifiers for LCS. That was the second time, and then we got relegated last split. Played through it again, made it back into the LCS. Feels like they're trying to shake me off, but they can't quite get rid of me. So I have definitely been through some stuff playing League. I definitely think that I have grown as a person quite a bit over the past few years, just playing League of Legends. I've learned a lot more about myself, other people, just how to interact, and just how to carry myself, both in like mindset, which is really important. Like if I was ever in the mindset that I didn't have the ability to become the best, or that I felt like it was too hard, or there was just no like brighter opportunities on the horizon, then I would have burnt out and crashed a long time ago, and you guys probably would not be watching this interview right now. But I think that just my ability to stick through it all and just keep playing, doing something that I love, and doing it for my fans that like always have my back, is something that has really like grown me as a person. I think like looking back on this years from now, I will just think about like the opportunities that I've been given and the abilities that I've had to follow through on them, which I do not think I would have had if I did not go down this path. So I'm really grateful for like everything that's happened to me, all the trials and tribulations, all the successes that I've had. I think have like made me a better person. So I'm grateful for them.
On Reddit, like there are a lot of threads talking about, I was on this team and I got screwed over by my manager, or I got benched, or all this stuff. How do you feel about those? Like, because I know you kind of went through these like problems with your career. I mean, how do you feel when you see these threats made?
Yeah, so not gonna lie, I've never had a period where I was like this like entity or like this individual is looking out for my best interest. And I think in esports it's pretty hard to come by. There's a lot of people that are looking to benefit themselves, obviously. You make it, you have one shot to turn it into something solid, a career. You get the limelight, you just have to like impress people and do what you do best. And for a lot of people, they have many opportunities to continue down that path, but for some people, they only have one shot. And sometimes like a manager or like an organization or something can get in the way of that and make it hard for them. Actually, I probably shouldn't answer this question.
Okay. Well, okay. How about this? Do you have any advice for people that new players are struggling, with their careers? Do you have any advice for them?
For new players, my advice to new players would just be to stay motivated, always believe in yourself and your ability. Even if it gets tough at times, you lose, you don't make it anywhere. If this is something that you truly believe that you have the potential to do and that you're capable of doing, then stick through it and just follow through, because that's basically what I did. I was a bit lucky in that I was already at a level where I could have easily chosen to continue it or stop, whereas a lot of people now that are trying to break into the scene, they're having to compete against people who are already on established teams. They're already like well-known names, and all they really have to show for themselves is their skill. And while that can go a long way, there's a lot of like talent that gets picked up. For example, like Quas, he just Venezuelan player. He played with 200, like 150, 200 ping. He was still a beast. Like he moved here and he got picked up by a bunch of teams, and finally we like found him and we managed to play with him, and it's been working out really well. So examples like that are always there. It's definitely hard. Like there's a lot of people trying to make it in the league scene right now, and I would honestly just say like do it until you feel like it's not going to be profitable anymore. If you are sacrificing like the opportunity to go to school, or you're like not getting a job, and like you're basically banking everything on your ability to make it in league, then I think it's definitely a risky venture. But if you're already like near the top of at the top of like the level, you're like high diamond 1, maybe approaching challenger, then I think that's like the best opportunity that you have to like actually consider making it pro. Because like there's a lot of people who are like challenger or diamond 1 that are trying to make it, but it's difficult. And to be honest, like I don't know the best course of action. I just think that if you stay motivated, you stay hungry, you stay like on the track to improving and becoming the best, never letting yourself like never let it get to your head. Like you always have room to improve, you can always be better, and if teams see this and they see your skill, then they will be impressed and they will want to play with you. So I would just say, yeah, keep trying and never let it get you down. So when my career is all said and done with, I want to be remembered as the guy that stuck through his highs and his lows. I went from like being one of the best players in the world, or at least viewed as such, to getting benched from a team, to coming back, to making it to the top of the LCS again, to dropping down to the standings, playing through relegation, and then forming a new team and just getting back into it and coming out victorious. I want to be remembered as the guy that went through all that, stayed positive, kept my head up, and managed to help radiate that and spread that for my fans and for the people around me. And if I can go out like that and hopefully be victorious in the end, then I will be very happy with that.